We've all seen it at this point. AI slop. It's everywhere. It's on your reels, it's on YouTube, it's on TikTok. Wherever you turn around, there's AI slop. You go to a grocery store, there's an AI Christmas jingle playing. And you've probably also seen artists screaming from rooftops, boycott AI, fight AI, ban AI. But we aren't gonna win this fight, especially not the way we're fighting right now. Not because this fight's unwinnable, but because we're just fighting it wrong. So, what do we need to do to win this fight? First, we need to understand both sides of the argument. All the companies making AI, these big tech companies, they're not here to make slop necessarily. They're here to make money, something artists have traditionally struggled with from the history of time. But the difference is that to make money, you need to generate value in the world. Generating value gets you income. Keep that in mind, it's gonna come back in a second. Now, if you ask most artists why they do what they do, you'll hear things like, oh, it's my calling. Oh, I don't know what else to do. I want to express myself. I want to create something that impacts the world. All of these things don't have the same value system. So while AI companies are trying to make money, we as artists have a completely different value set, things that we think are important. The way these AI companies work is that they're trying to make money through scale and automating as many tasks as possible. It can take a chip in a black box 15 seconds to do something that takes 2 hours for a human. That's economic value in the world, and people will pay a cheaper rate for that and do it. AI companies don't have a long-term, beautiful goal. They're not here to extend culture. They're here to simply make money. Like I said, you make money by providing value. Now look at this from the other side. We, as artists, are trying to make something of beauty, of aesthetic value, of cultural significance. And we provide value in terms of entertainment or aesthetic beauty. And on the surface, this might look the same. Value equals income. AI generates value, which equals income. Art generates value, which equals income. But if you take away this abstraction from this equation for a second, AI is time-saving plus task automation, which equals economic value, which equals income. In terms of art, you have beauty, aesthetics, cultural impact, social impact, which equals exposure plus reach plus income. And I understand that this equation for art is a little oversimplified, but this playing field is exactly why we're going to lose, especially the way we're fighting right now. Because the bottom line is, fighting money with morals is hard, if not impossible. All of these AI companies are worth so much money. According to a Statista link, the whole global entertainment industry is worth $2.6 trillion. And that's a lot of money. I'm not doubting the fact that the entertainment industry is small. But by comparison, NVIDIA alone, one company, is worth $4.6 trillion. Again, this isn't about making the point that, oh, entertainment's a smaller industry. It's just that the economic power is so concentrated right now that trying to fight that much economic power with morals is like trying to douse a fire with a stick. When I say global entertainment industry, I mean everything. Every big pop star you can think of, every Hollywood movie. I, like the next person, would like to think I have a core set of morals and values that I would never bend on. But the bottom line is, even an extra $1,000 to someone's life can significantly change their lifestyle, and there are people who would bend over backwards for that. So we can't really fight that kind of economic engine with morals. And more so, we can't fight it with the AI is bad argument, because this is one of the biggest arguments I see fall apart for artists immediately. The reason why shouting from a rooftop that AI is bad falls apart really quickly is because whether we as artists like it or not, AI is tech that's here to stay. And at the core of it, it is cool tech. Like, it's cool that someone invented this kind of stuff. But more than that, it's the fact that the moment someone points out a very useful use of AI, like for example, all of its uses in studying protein folding, or To give you an example from my own life, I use an app called Be My Eyes, where I can take pictures of my groceries and it tells me exactly what it is. And this did not exist when I first went blind, and it has taken the time it takes me to sort out my groceries down by 95%. Like, it takes me such little time now to sort out my groceries.
Focus unlocked. Image. Double take picture button. Take picture dimmed. Music workstation. A wooden desk holds a MIDI keyboard, a small interface or mixer, a compact speaker, and various cables. There's also the neck of a guitar or bass leaning across, and the upper side of a black amplifier visible. Behind the desk, bright yellow curtains cover a window. A large leaf green plant sits to the right side. The atmosphere is creative and homey, suggesting a small studio or music production setup.
So, saying AI is bad just makes your whole argument not credible. And saying things like boycott AI are just not going to work. Another argument I see a lot is the environmental resource argument, where it says AI uses a lot of environmental resources. This is absolutely true. AI uses a lot of water for cooling systems. AI uses land for data centers. We use rare earth minerals for all the chips. But you know what else takes a lot of water? Corn production.
In other words, American corn alone uses nearly 80 times more water annually than all of the world's AI servers combined. And I totally forgive you if you are thinking right now, okay, Hank, yes, but corn is food. We eat it. Food is very important for people. But that's the thing. We don't eat it. Maybe 1% of corn is eaten by humans. A lot of it is eaten by livestock. But 40% of it is burned in our cars and trucks.
And this doesn't magically make environmental use for AI all right. I feel like a little more nuance in that argument would really help a lot. I'm not saying it's a bad argument, it's just mostly an uninformed argument. But none of this environmental or moral stuff is what's really bugging us as artists, is it? So let's get into why it's bothering artists. All of us, every artist likes taking their lived experience and memories and perspective and sitting down to make that beautiful painting, or making that song, or putting together a performance, or putting together a theater show. And the lived experience that we go on and then share with people through the process is super important. I would go out on a limb and say the process for the artist is most of the time more important than the final product. I mean, I can say this for myself for sure, but I would be willing to bet good money that it's true for most artists. So when AI has been getting better and better at making these things, we went from Will Smith barely being able to eat spaghetti to videos that most lay people cannot tell the difference of whether it's AI or not. You have to really pixel peep. And in due time, this tech is going to get good enough that even we, the artists, might not be able to tell what was made by AI and what was made by a real human, because that's just where the tech is headed. And you know that equation from before where I said art equals a bunch of stuff plus income? The point is that the income comes from the output, not the process. And this is what we're trying to fight. The problem is that if the output goes away, we're just gonna have our process left to make us happy. And the thing is, as long as we're fighting and putting out an output on digital platforms, we're never gonna beat AI. Because AI can crush us in the digital space because it can churn out output endlessly. AI can probably make 9 billion songs, a trillion paintings, and 50 million books in the span of a few days. And right now, they're not good. But will they be? For sure they will. And will you and I be able to tell the difference? I don't think so. And as we continue down this digital path, we've already made sacrifices. Every musician traded their income for exposure and ease of access when they put out their music on services like Spotify. And now Spotify, with the advent of AI music, is all of a sudden like, well, you know, we kind of don't need you small-time artists anymore, so bye. We thought a big company like Disney suing OpenAI would be our savior. All that regulation would finally come in. All that scraped data would finally pay off. But what happened? Disney ended up paying OpenAI $1 billion to invest in OpenAI so that they could get a lot of use of Sora to make a generative feed on Disney Plus for their animated character shots. This is a company that invests money to hire people to think on how to make their amusement park rides. They're going to have a generative feed on their platform. Bye, animators. How the fuck do we win? That's the question, right? How do we win? Well, the first thing we need to do is change the arena. We're fighting on someone else's home turf. The digital space, by its nature, lives in a computer. So does AI. And it's like going to someone's house and telling them you don't like their dog. Who do you think is going to leave first, you or the dog? Most of the outputs we make today as artists end up in the digital space. You make a painting, it ends up as a reel on Instagram. You make a song, it ends up as a product on Spotify. You make a movie, it's probably on Vimeo, or like maybe you make videos like this one on YouTube. But now, more than ever, we need to start taking our digital audiences, all the reach and exposure we've gathered or are gathering, and bring them out into the real world. AI cannot go and shake a fan's hand. AI cannot stand in line at a book signing and hear why a fan liked a book. AI can't put up a play that people will cry at. AI can't make a painting that you will sit and tell the person about how you mix the colors more. So the real world is where we have an advantage. And we are not using that as artists right now to further this conversation. The problem is we can't out-resource big tech. They will always have more resources than us. And similarly, we can't morally shame individual people for using AI. Does Oreo need to have an AI model to make their ads? Can they not afford to pay people to make their ads? Yes, they can. But if they save millions of dollars in the process, are they not going to? Aren't they a company out there to make money? They're not making Oreos for the betterment of the world. If someone used Suno or some other platform to make a birthday song for their sister, sure, you could shame them, but if that person and their sister got joy from that song, it's not going to magically give them $150 to $200 to go commission a musician to make that song for them. Shaming people for their consumption patterns is not really going to help our situation as artists. There's a difference between shaming a company and shaming an individual. And I think we need to start focusing more on the companies than the individuals. The third piece of the puzzle, which links back to the first 2 points I made about why we're losing, is that I think we need to be a little more informed and a little more educated on all of these AI terms if we want to be part of this fight. I mean, if you don't want to be part of this fight and raising your voice about this stuff, that's totally a valid place to be too. But if you do want to be, I think it's important just to know some basic things. What's a transformer model? What's a diffusion model? What's an LLM? What do these companies do behind the scenes? What does a ChatGPT query even mean? Like, before we go out quoting these numbers to people, I think we need to know what's up with these numbers, just so that when we do have a conversation with a real person, we don't lose them on the grounds of credibility. Like I said a second ago, the one thing we have that AI doesn't is a real-world physical presence. So instead of fighting this fight on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, all of these companies are invested in AI. They want AI to win. They don't care about your opinion. Your opinion is only good if it gets views and engagement on their platform. So we need to go out in the real world and have this conversation at our shows, at our exhibitions, at our plays, because that's the one place where this conversation matters. I haven't been to a single concert in the last year where an artist has gotten up on stage and said something about it on stage, but they'll shout real loud on social media where it doesn't matter. Another great boon of this situation, though, is that AI can't really make new things. It's remixing culture. And with some prompt engineering, you can get it to do some stuff, but it's always still going to draw from everything that it already knows. And this means that for us as artists, the time is now so ripe to try new experimental things and push the envelope of culture forward, because if we don't keep pushing this envelope forward, we will fall back down. As long as we can push ourselves as artists more and stay ahead of the curve, because it takes time to train these models. They can't magically catch up if we stay ahead. And listen, I understand the paradox of putting this out on a platform like YouTube, but that's what I mean. These platforms are good for reach right now. And there was a time where you could make art on social media. And you still can, and that's because we're in a transitionary phase. But that phase is gonna go away pretty soon, especially the way all this tech is going. So we need to bring this out in the real world. We need to all collectively as artists go out and touch some grass. If we as artists are responsible for pushing culture forward, then don't we deserve to fight this fight from a winning position then instead of on the back foot? What do you think? Leave a comment and tell me, what do you think of this whole AI fight? Do you like slop? Do you think there's something wrong with it? Do you think there's something not wrong with it? And please, I'm also an artist just like you. So if you disagree with something on this, let's talk about it. I want to know. I want to take this conversation further. And yeah, until next time, peace.